Hello, guys. Welcome to the show. Listen, this morning I want to talk about Europe. I'm over here in Europe right now. And you know what? There's an unfolding crisis. Italy is massive amount of bonds, in the banking system. They've got an over leveraged banking system. And what they've done is they've basically the banks have made way too many loans during good times, and these loans are not coming. The money's not coming back into the bank. They're non-performing loans, and they've tried bailing the banking system out, But honest to gosh, now at this point, what they've done is the Italian bonds. The bond yields are starting to rise. Yesterday, at least, they were starting to rise. Keep my eye on them. It's starting to look like this unfolding crisis that we got coming is going to be centered in Europe. That's going to be the epicenter. The United States, now there's countries that are food dependent. What that basically means is it means if you cut off world trade of food, okay? Cut off world trade of food during a period of economic turmoil. What can happen is the trade of food can get actually cut off between countries. So these supply chains that they have going right now, supply food to a lot of different countries, can get cut off because of if the European Union actually breaks apart. And it breaks apart because of a banking crisis. These supply chains of food that one country delivers food to another country and delivers food to another country, they have these well-established supply chains that supply countries with food. So, which countries are food dependent? Well, in Europe, because Europe's the center of the crisis, because the crisis is probably going to unfold as the European Union starts to fragment. The countries that are most dependent for food happen to be United Kingdom, Italy, France, and Germany. Now, I know myself that Germany's a breadbasket. They got a lot of farms in Germany. But still, they import an awful lot of food into Germany. Now, I've flown over Germany. It's farms as far as the eye can see. They got beautiful farms in Germany. They can produce a lot of food in Germany. But the thing is they export a lot of food. Italy. Among that list of countries in Europe, Italy's probably the most dependent for supply chains to supply them with food. Italy is also the country that's got the most problems in their banking system. So, you've got the hard Brexit coming up on the 29th of the hard Brexit's coming up on the 29th of March. It could start a cascade of events occurring in which you get a hard Brexit. You get stock markets that are over leveraged all around the world, and the Fed right now is trying to hold their status quo with removing $50 billion of liquidity every month from the system. They're trying to hold that, but they're talking about not doing it so much. They're talking about maybe a cutback on it. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they're going to cut back to $40 billion or $30 billion or even $25 billion a month instead of $50 billion. But they haven't done it yet. They're going to try to hang diamonds. They're going to try to do this as long as they possibly can. So we get the hard Brexit coming up on the 29th of March, which is not long away, guys. Because right now, it's only not even 2 months left for the hard Brexit. So, less than 60 days. It's not long. That could start a cascading or a chain of events in motion where Italy could suffer from, if we get a market fallout from the hard Brexit, Italy's banking system right now and their bonds is so insecure it could actually add fuel to the fire. So the Fed and the world central banks will come rushing in to try to reverse. Now, you saw just that little market tantrum that we had a few weeks ago caused the Fed to talk about reversing and become more dovish. And you saw what that did to gold and silver. Well, in this case, this would be more of a hard reaction to the markets that would cause the Fed to actually take action rather than just talk. Wouldn't be talk anymore. The Fed would probably have to take immediate action, and they would probably have to stop their quantitative tightening immediately. All of it. All 50 billion. Done. And they might even have to reverse it into quantitative easing, a new round of quantitative easing. It is possible, in order to try to stop the momentum of what's coming with the Brexit. At the same time, that would have a very profoundly bad effect upon the dollar. The dollar would start to lose, big time, go down. And this in turn starts a cascading effect with Europe and these banks in Italy and everything. And then you've got the German bank, Deutsche Bank. You got all this could start all popping all at once, all just kind of like when you light one firecracker on a chain of those. You ever seen those chains of firecrackers? They all start going off. One leads to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. It's just a domino effect, sort of a thing, to where the European Union actually, this whole thing could bankrupt the European Union, and the the bonds could start to climb in the European Union, because Italy's bonds should be junk status, honest to gosh, So this whole thing could start breaking apart, and the epicenter being Europe. Of course, now, the cascading effect, even though the epicenter would be in Europe, the cascading effect would extend out everywhere in the world. China and the United States and everything would go into a depression. And there's only one solution that the central banks have, and that is to actually money creation. This is rocket fuel for gold and silver. This is rocket fuel for cryptocurrencies. And so what we actually could see happen is the famine trouble. And yes, I did use the F word, famine, in Europe, quite literally. And because the supply chains would be cut, because the banking system would just basically melt down. All of these distribution companies that distribute food, mostly a trucking industry and stuff that supply food to places like Italy, most of it could just get cut off for weeks or months. And quite literally, we're talking starvation here, folks. We're talking Europe could go into something that resembles what happened in World War II. And that was a long time ago, but the last time we seen something like this. And it could take an awful lot of people by surprise, because they're not used to anything like this. They've never seen anything like this in their lifetimes. Now, their parents and their grandparents, or their grandparents might have seen stuff like this, but they've never seen anything like this. And for people out there who have bias, who have what's called a normalcy bias, that think nothing like this can ever happen, it'll take them by shock and surprise, because they've never witnessed anything like this in their lifetimes, and they don't think like anything like this can happen. But your grandparents can tell you that stuff like this can happen. Russia has seen famines. A lot of countries have seen famines. Famines do happen. They've happened before in the past, and they'll happen again in the future. And the tremendous toll it can take, we're actually talking the F word, famine. And the countries that are going to experience the worst part of this are the countries that are most dependent upon supply chains for food. They don't produce their own food inside the country. And in the European Union, probably the worst country for this, is the one that imports the most food for the size of it, is Italy. The Italians. Quite seriously. So we've been expecting something like this in America, but it might not occur in America. Might not be food famine in America. So all these preppers and stuff, you know, you might not have that in America, but you might experience it here in Europe instead. Of course, I mean, it wouldn't be a situation that would last forever. Of course, these supply chains would be reestablished again, but I mean, the situation could be rather bizarre. And I figured I'd talk about that for a little bit this morning. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll be home pretty soon, you know. Probably in 2 weeks I'll be doing my regular normal reports from home, and the Delta report. And I think what I'm going to do is, until Bitcoin really starts to take off, and I'm expecting it to take off probably in a few months. You know, it's probably going to take off again and start rising in price. I think we might have put in our bottoms already, to tell you the truth. And I think this next swing upwards is going to start slow. I think it's going to start slow, and I think it's going to gain momentum, and I think it's going to be an awful lot bigger than the last one. I think maybe we're looking at 50,000 or 100,000 even, you know. And the altcoins is just going to pop. I mean, you know, you might be looking at, I don't know, $700 a piece for Litecoins or something like that, you know, before this is done, you know. So, I mean, hang in there, guys, you know, hang in there. As far as Bitcoin reports, I'm probably going to be doing, when I get home, I'm probably going to be doing about maybe two a week until Bitcoin takes off. And I think I'm going to go back to my old format of the Delta report a little bit, you know. Try to find newsworthy stories and do a good job reporting on them. No fake news here. It's going to be all real stuff, you know. None of that fake stuff. Anyway, thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.